It shall be decreed. Damn, I'm so used to doing DreamHack. Where's my observer? Alright. Bottom left, DPG's herO. Top right, Kaizi's Sola. So PvZ, haven't gotten one of these today. How long have we been streaming for? Yeah, usually the Korean Open Cups are 3-ish hours. Maybe 3.5. Europe, usually 6, well, 5.5. 5.5. North America, 4, 4.5. Pretty much directly correlated to how much interest there is in StarCraft of the regions. Four to tank 2 mines for oracles to get max damage. Obviously, we're talking about a different game. People might be looking on YouTube. What am I up about? Zess had a very questionable game against Beyond. By the way, did I say this was finals? It's not finals. It is semifinal. Sorry, guys. So it's a best of 3. I was like, where's Beyond, though? He just won something. Yeah, this is the semifinals. Solar Nightmare just took a very long time. So, yeah, talking about the way that Zess Beyond ended. You're right. That actually would be something, and I think we have seen it before. But again, that would be based off the idea that Beyond was one fact expanding, which he did 2 times, so he could have done a 3rd time. I am trying to think this one through, like, theoretically. It's so weird, but it might be it legitimately might be the case that because it was a 1 Rax as opposed to a factory expand, the early aggression didn't work, which is just usually the opposite. The more someone expands, the more that early pressure is supposed to damage them. Well, or it's so weird though, because at the end of the day, he still has those 4 Marines, doesn't he? No matter how he opens. I'm, you know what? My brain doesn't work enough right now. I don't even think I could answer that, but I think some of you have some good ideas. Absolutely. I have no confirmed answers though. That's what we gotta live with, not having all the answers in life, and that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so Solar versus herO, best of 3. Sorry guys, the winner of this faces Beyond in the finals. Overlord number 1, trying to be shot down. Okay. Love the dancing. It is a Stargate, which the Oracle just revealed itself. I was paying attention to the Oracle Overlord. Sorry, Overlord movement to the top left. Wondering what that meant. Currently nothing. Literally just random. I can't believe it's random. Zergs are pretty smart about how they use their first Overlords. Like, after Overlord 5, I guess, they're just like, eh, whatever, who cares? But we'll pay attention to that later on. herO is going to go for Oracle, 2 gateways, 3rd base. Okay, very typical opener then. herO's not doing anything super weird. And that means he's probably going to do what people have now dubbed the herO style. Triple Oracle into Blink. I mean, I'm always suspicious of dubbing anything anyone's particular style or build, because even when we were sure that someone was the first person to use it, what we then later learned was that someone else gave them the build. So I think it was Ryung, not Maru, I think it was another Terran, but Ryung had come up with the build and then someone else used it, and maybe it was Maru. Anyways, so I do totally accept the idea of dubbing something X style when someone popularizes it or perfects it, you know, either one. But I don't know if herO, came up with this, because I'm pretty sure it was happening years ago. Not too often, mind you, but it absolutely was happening. I mean, I guarantee Stats used triple Oracle into Blink at least once or twice. But it's possible I'm crazy and bad at StarCraft. As I said, totally accepting that this could be a hero style. Now, I called Blink apparently too quickly. We do have a little adept pokey proddy beforehand. Solar currently losing 9-ish drones. Number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. 9 drones. And it's 4 oracles, not 3. So there's that. But it is going to be going to Blink. We saw a couple of stalkers warped in. So it is a change-up. Maybe Solar was 100% with me. Thinking a bit too far ahead, perhaps. Assuming a bit too much. Wasn't quite prepared to handle the number of adepts. Although the number of oracles has not been a problem so far. 3 oracles would kill this hatchery. 4th one is not necessary. But the follow-up is still into the stalkers. Looks like the stalkers are warped in a bit awkwardly. And they're still kind of awkward. Yeah, stalker in the natural, I was going to say, is in danger. He might die. Absolutely, but good wall off once Hero realized that Solar was willing to commit. Continuing to micro with his oracles as well. Doesn't quite get a good stasis trap, but there was potential there. Second one comes down too. Solar is paying attention. Well done. Solar was the Overlord position. Well, as I said, I think this is on purpose, but I'm not... It could be seeing an Oracle that sometimes hugs the wall if it doesn't want to be scouted, but Protoss usually don't do that. Especially after the Oracle had literally been scouted by the first Overlord. Oh, these Oracles are doing a ton of more damage. 8 drones just went down. Good scouting on what the idea is as well. Laying at Baneling Ravager. And 2 Oracles live to tell the tale. Third one, where are you? Where are you at? 3 Oracles live. Push is, I think, going to happen. Even though 4th Nexus is coming down, usually the real difficult part of the style, which is really hard for non-pros to keep up with, is that it's a style that's around fast expansion and consistent poking and prodding. Fast and furious, the style. So you got to get on the front. You got to start bothering the Zerg, even when you think, you're like, I don't know. There's not that many stalkers. I don't have a Warp Prism. Where's my splash? I don't know, guys. And in this case, there's not even that many Force Field. Not even that many sentries. There's 1. But it's something that I think you just kind of have to do. In the same way that a 2-1-1 is supposed to drop out, clear up some creep, threaten a Zerg player, but then ultimately might just be pushed back. It's kind of like that. Probe damage is not too terrible. That was a good enough pull, but was a little late. So 8 probes went down. Pylon died as well. Hero needs to get back on those front lines. He's got 4 Nexus soon, so it's not like rebuilding probes is a super difficult thing to do. Oh, what? Why are the stalkers over there? For reasons. 1 does go down to help that +1 melee. Oracle's once again beaming down. It looks to be a queen. 1 dies, but not bad. And overall, these Oracles have been very consistently doing damage. Don't lose the second one, though. This Overlord, as I was trying to point out, could have been for detecting like a hidden Oracle, could have been for detecting... I would not even say a Warp Prism, right? Like, not even a Warp Prism would go that far away. But maybe it could be used later on for Overlord drops. We'll get there when we get there. Currently an attack underway as Solar realizes, you know what, I actually have enough. You are not that threatening. You are not the bully here. Solar is going to push into Hero's 4th base. A cannon and shield battery were prepared, but no shield battery overcharge. That gets destroyed. The Banelings all gone now. 7 probes taken down, the last few of them. Was that actually a good push from Solar? I think that's what's really troublesome for a lot of Zergs right now, is that there's so many moments where they look at the Protoss army and they have the same question. Where's the splash? That's not that many stalkers. Oh, lol, there's not even that many force fields. Is it really that difficult? And they overexert themselves. They push into the stalkers. They kind of don't consider the blink potential, and they lose more than they should. They go, oh, well, whoops-a-daisy, but I'm still fine. Then they do it again. Then they do it again. Then they do it again. Then they think, okay, I really can do something. Let's move in. Just like Solar did right there. But then what looked to be a blink stalker number that they could take on, 8 warp-ins later, 8 more stalkers with a shield battery. is way different. Now, I still don't believe that Pure Soccer will be able to win this particular game. Solar has not been overwhelmed to that degree, but they are able to provide the pressure. 3-1 currently on the way for herO. Still no splash, and I do figure that eventually you would get some. If the Zerg hasn't really been cracked at this point, you can't just win with Pure Gateway in this one. Right? 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 Well, I mean, you could probably do a better job of winning with Pure Gateway if you had some harassment going on. Now we have some Zealots head over to the left side. The line of Banelings was quite comical. And wasted, really. 2 Stalkers tank a lot of Banelings. The Zealots do get into the 4th base. Only Lings responding might not be enough, but Roaches come along as well. It is 2-2-2 upgrades. But again, herO is about to have 3-1 in just 30 seconds. It's going to take an engagement prior to that. That's a lot of Banelings. Definitely don't want to let the Stalkers just tank that. But we have once again gone up to 4 Oracles. Very, very much on purpose there. And that is going to help against any of those, again, overreaching moments from Solar. He's going to say, oh, I can do this. I can overwhelm. And suddenly 4 Pulsar Beams hurting your entire army. Not much defense against that. Queen's pulled might help. Might get focus fired down. You know? It's just free damage. It's free real estate. And also providing some of that detection as the Robos have only just finished up. They're initially going to crank out 2 Immortals. In the old-fashioned way of playing Protoss, you would never see double Robo around a 4th base. That would be crazy. But apparently, new age is upon us. Oh! Maybe a bit late to the blink. It's a bit arguable. Many Stalkers injured but not dead. Even army supply. Better upgrades for the Protoss. And soon to include these Immortals, which will help a little bit when it comes to the tanking. When the Stalkers blink back, the Immortals with the Hardened Shield will tank a lot of Banelings, as well as, obviously, dealing with any Roaches. I do believe herO is so far doing a great job. He has really controlled the situation well. But, you know, Solar wasn't exactly trying to, you know, his main focus wasn't defending and then getting that counterattack. Well, he did it once. He did not find a truly good amount of success with it. He has Hive done. He has more upgrades on the way. He has more bases on the way. So he's got options beyond this tug of war that we're currently seeing. But right now the tug of war is not exactly going in his favor. Yeah, not at all. And I can only imagine what, you know, the addition of 4 Colossus, in proxy, by the way, effectively, would do to help out here. Either way. There's the Immortals helping to tank a little bit. Warp Prism is going to be shot down. No, I was going to say, it looks like it was going to miss. It did miss. Solar continuing to be one of the worst Zergs when it comes to aiming with Crucible. It's a kind of a funny meme that I'll discuss in a second. Immortals did lose their Hardened Shields in the earlier battle, so they didn't exactly tank as much right there. And some of these Stalkers are maybe tanking a bit too much. At the end of the day, they have that nice concave. They have the numbers. They blink forward aggressively. The Warp Prism's still active. 10 Zealots being warped in. Continuing to get better upgrades as well. 3-2 is about to finish, although Solar also about to be on 2-2 and about to have some of these Ultras pop. Now that's where the Immortals obviously would be helpful. And it looks like maybe herO just knew that that would be the end destination for Solar. Maybe not. Maybe it is just more so what I was talking about. The tanking, the dealing with these units. But it would absolutely help against someone going into Ultras too. Oracles are being taken down, Stalkers are being pushed back, but we're now getting shields as well. How about that? And the dance continues. So far, Solar holding on, brings all the Queens forward to help out, get some of those transfuses on the hatchery. It's not going to go down. Stalkers again pushed back. Maybe the Ravagers this time around to get the Warp Prism. Nope, it unsieges. And we do have herO pushed entirely back into his 5th base. Ultra run by. Well, you don't see that very often. It's a lot better to have a Zealot run by. One Ultra is very rarely intimidating. It's gonna be chased down by the Stalkers. Get him! Squeal! Ultra dies with dignity at the very least. But herO is all over the place, continuing to aggress in multiple locations. But Solar is kind of matching him, man. Action for action. The Zealots were handled by, I guess, a bunch of Banelings. The Ultra did die, but at the very least, it gave Solar time to send more units off to the left side. And then Solar is still holding on to the right side as well. This is StarCraft, actually, at its best form. And I am so happy to say that when it comes to a PvZ, because put me back 4 months ago, and I would have just skipped the semifinal. I'd have been like, you guys don't need to see it. Don't worry about it. And hero's always been a baller. Zealots, again, being taken care of by Solar far too quickly to be called effective. Even if they tank a lot of banelings, it's more a matter of time, I think, at this point. herO, I think, has overexerted himself. He has divvied up his army too much to try and be almost too fancy, when perhaps going for a more frontal push, again, with maybe Colossus included, or Disruptors, right? Either one would have been really helpful. The Colossus would have been extremely helpful to wash off the Lings. The Disruptors, well, we know how the Disruptors can be, right? But either way, I think would have been an amazing option. Instead, we have an insistence on multiple attacks. Okay, this run by may be doing a bit more, but multiple attacks with less units than ever before. That would have been fine if Solar also had many less units than before. But not really the case. Solar's been holding on to a decent supply. I think he's figured out that the banelings aren't really helping him in a lot of these engagements, so he's just stuck on upgraded Lings. I think that's actually been a very important change. And it's also a change that maybe herO picked up on. That's why he's been insisting on these Zealot run-bys, saying, well, you're not going to have the banelings, you're not going to have the banelings, you're not going to have the banelings. And then so far, Solar has had a number, but he is starting to lose track of the banelings, not cleaning up these Zealots as much. And that is a bit of the unit composition balance that's happening right now. More Ultras, maybe not the best thing against the main army. It's really weird to call this the size of an army the main army, but there you go. But it is helpful for dealing with these run-bys. It is extremely easy to send a couple of Ultras, one Ultra, to a location that will handle most units, and is far easier to control too. You can just A-move that thing. So, case in point, here you have it. Kind of A-move in. Unfortunately, that fifth? It was a fifth. A fifth does go down after a very long, drawn-out battle, though, so it's mostly mined out anyways. Not exactly a terrible thing to sacrifice for Solar, otherwise defending his fresher bases. We're going to call this one the fifth now. But herO has also expanded a lot, right? So he's up to 5 bases. He even got the 6th maybe minutes ago. He's been mining off of that. Very few stack defense structures, too. So not a whole lot of wasted minerals and gas, I guess. He definitely needs to be replacing his army units. Probes just went down. That actually kind of sucks. 18 probes. That is painful, but oh, you know what else is painful? Ultras into Immortals. The Lings and Banelings also coming through, though, and I think that's what really sealed the deal. As if it was just Ultras, easiest fight in the world, but everything else that came in here has worked out so that Solar is ahead. Ahead enough, I wonder. I mean, herO's army is almost laughable at this point, but it's not like Solar is super comfortable. I mean, put Solar on 160, 170 supply, and it's like, okay, herO, get the heck out of this game. But, I don't know. herO still has 6 bases. He's going to dive after this hatchery and probably try and recall out, but how many is he going to save? Like 6 Stalkers? Better than nothing, I suppose, although they're going to die to these Banelings. 11 more probes go down. Zealot's trying to get through some of these bases, and they are getting into every little nook and cranny, but they're really not doing all that much damage. Looks like they killed something. An Ultraless Cavern. Okay, but I don't know if Ultras are what Solar really needs right now anyways. I imagine Solar will rebuild it, because it's an option that has been useful to him many times, but right now? I don't know. It might just be better to go Ling Baneling Ravager. They're still on a weirdly low-tech composition, and now we're getting those supplies where things are a little bit questionable. herO is just losing steam, man. He's just losing steam. Real seesaw StarCraft 2 game, once again. We had one earlier with Zest and Byun. Now we're getting it with Solar and herO. But I think Solar has done an amazing job. The balancing act was not exactly perfect, but I do think there was actually a lot of brain power going into this. There was so much action that it would be very easy to say that, well, one person mismicroed, one person overexerted themselves, one person got lucky a couple of times. And all those are true, I would say. But then on top of that, I really want to give respect to Solar's ability to react, basically. I feel like as far as Zerg goes, he did it very, very well. He was reacting at every single location, that there was an engagement, there was a harassment. He was also trying to harass himself. Even if they have not been effective in the beginning, they are finally finding a lot of success. And then he also is changing his compositions kind of based around what he saw, sending his ultras the right direction, his link baneling the correct direction the other way. Maybe not building banelings when he realizes that they aren't really working out, then building them when he needs them again. That was very impressive. I feel like if someone doesn't really know StarCraft, you know, someone who's mildly interested, but kind of just usually posts on the forums, lol Protoss is overpowered, lol Zerg's overpowered, I feel like they would look at that and just be like, that was a cool game, you know, freaking Zerg, they just ran everywhere. I think that was actually super high level. Thank you, Bane Will Rise, for the 7-month resub. Pretty sure to make it be worth make 2 War Prisms. I mean, some argument there. A few Archons, yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking robo units. Archons also would have been very helpful. SIIICK game. Bottom left, down 1, he is herO. And in the top right, it is Sola. Yeah. Incredibly fast game. Fast pacing, fast reaction. Could try and I'd pay 2 of you guys $200 and say, do exactly that, knowing exactly what your opponent's doing because you just watched it happen. You guys would not be able to do that. No one in chat would be able to do it. You'd remember, it'd be like almost like a memory game, but on crack. Where it's not the Clefairies telling you to write, you know, X or up, down, A, B. That's really the problem. You remember up, down, A, B. It's the freaking speed. And yes, I am referring to the Pokemon Stadium game. Whenever I think of, did I say Metronome game? No, I didn't, right? I said memory game. Okay. Anyways. Whenever I think of a memory game, I always think of that Pokemon game, because I was so bad at it. I don't know why I'm so bad at memory games, but I absolutely am. I don't think my memory is really that poor. But when it comes to memory games, memorize a sequence, or memorize a string of numbers, or memorize words. There was one more that I was trying to think of, and I can't think of right now. Sequences, numbers. Well, anyways, that's out of my brain. I don't do well with those. I do remember very well, like, interactions with people. And I think I am very good when it comes to directions. Usually if I'm in a foreign city, I walk one place once, and I can recreate it. In my experience, I'm usually the leader, because I usually remember more than the other people. There's something about sequences. Just can't do it. So I'd always lose that game to my brother, who was actually very good when it came to memorizing sequence and numbers. There might be something about, like, left-right brain and abstract versus hard to find, so on and so forth. I'm sure someone with a bigger brain than mine can explain it. Last game was a long game of 2 guys punching each other in the balls for 30 minutes. It's like the scene in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Why are you punching each other? He punched me, but why did you punch him? comes to Pokemon Stadium games, though, I was really good at the Sandshrew game. Tap those shoulder buttons so hard, I almost broke my finger. I don't think breaking my finger is accurate, but you've ever, like, used... Alright, this is gonna be taken out of context 100%, but you guys ever done something where you use your fingers, like, actively, and then it's almost like a cramp, but you kind of feel it in your bone? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'd get that. It would almost be a bone cramp. Because I'd be tapping the freaking shoulder buttons too hard. Placement of pairs. Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you. And it just, like, I had it in my brain. I had it in my list. You know, you always list 3 things, and it just completely exited my brain. But yes, exactly. When you have to match the pairs. Yeah, I couldn't do that either. Well, I could do it, just not very well. I could do it better than the sequence, for sure. But still not my best. Still not my best. So the Oracle harassment's been good so far. I have omitted talking about the early game, because it is a similar setup, but yeah, we do have a big difference now. We can talk about the big difference. No adept attack this time around. No, what was it, like 6 to 8 adepts that attacked in. Just the 2, which so far are causing some big reactions. Stasis Trap in the main base caught a lot of drones. Then the adepts forced the drones in the third base to take them seriously. So they pulled away. I mean, the adepts die without killing any drones, but they kind of did some damage in conjunction with the oracles. It is 2 oracles instead of 4. But we are getting into that blink, and no doubt the high-speed style that we saw last game. And for Solar, I mean, Solar's pretty macro-oriented little Zerg player, isn't he? So I don't expect too many differences for him. Already a bit different. He's got an Overlord drop set up. Something he did not ever get to do last game. It's a bit far away now, but it'll fix itself eventually. Do we have a Baneling Nest? No? So just a good old-fashioned link drop into the main. Stasis Trapper on the third, it's good. I guess Solar was trying to focus fire this one Oracle. Yeah, I think what I've seen, and keep in mind that I feel like time is passing weirdly slow and fast currently, but I feel like what I've seen is more distraction oracles than most other Protoss players. Like, herO is divvying up his oracles not just to say that he's harassing at every location. He's also oftentimes seemingly only using one for distraction. Just like, oh, watch this, and then sleight of hand type of situation. And Lings are gonna get dropped out, but they were seen not quite in the dark space, so not too bad. I mean, it's so... I would say it's almost non-committal, but, you know, Overlord drop's a little pricey, I suppose. Ultimately, not worth it. 3 probes better than nothing, and I thought I was going to get nothing. Happy to hear that, Ragnarok Head. Happy to hear their shared experiences across the world. Here and there, I've gotten one of those cramps that's on your throat, under your chin. What? Okay, I've never had that. What? Alright, we'll get back to that in a second. We do have a fairly large attack. Remember, last game we had an attack over on the 4th base, but it was 1 sentry and probably 7, 8 less stalkers. This one's pretty intimidating. The sentries once again die without maybe contributing as much as they should have. But the stalker number is still intimidating afterwards. Upgrade lead as well. The Lings do not have their +1 melee. There's also not that many Lings currently, and that's a real scary part from the Zerg player's perspective. Now, if you have 40 Lings, you feel like you're limitless in potential. You know, I'll get a surround. I can back away and not be totally punished for it type of situation. But if you have 20 or less, suddenly this happens, the Lings suddenly get washed off, and then it opens up the opportunity for the Stalkers to work their magic against Roach Ravager. There is a freaking proxy gateway in the middle of the map, by the way. Yeah, alright. herO takes a 4th base, although no probes as of yet to put on them. He's actually stopped probe production, I believe, much earlier than last game as well. That's why he has a bigger army to hit this 4th base with, something that Solar, I don't believe, was prepared for. He might have been expecting a very, very similar game to last, where it's just a few less units, so he was quite, he's barely able to work it out with the supreme drone economy that he had. Now, the question is, did he get too many drones? Could he have backed away a little bit sooner? Could he have taken this a little bit more seriously some way or another? And the answer is yes. I don't know exactly where he went wrong, but absolutely he is getting overwhelmed. I don't even know where the supply is currently. Why does it look like Solar's okay? Because pretty sure he's not. Okay, well, especially with that. Stasis trap, getting a handful of roaches. I mean, it helps, but I don't even, like, it's already game over, wasn't it? Drones come in, but as the Zealots come in as well, and that definitely will seal the deal for herO. GG. Hope Korea's been good so far. It has, thank you. I haven't really experienced too much of it currently, but I will soon. I gotta say, just kind of being driven into Seoul was not a magical experience. I didn't have some like Disney moment that a 12-year-old has, but as close as a calloused adults can have. Just found myself kind of smiling. Then we got into the actual city, and he saw the signs and people partying because it was Saturday night. All the people just freely walking around, drinking, laughing. And it's just an experience that I feel like doesn't exist very often in American cities. Because I visited New York. I visited DC. I visited, what's another metropolis? Denver. And it's, cities in America almost always come with a feeling of a little bit of fear. Like, you might see a group of gals walking down after a party, and they look like they had some fun, and that's awesome, but I'd say it's a lot more rare. There's so many parts of a city that are a bit sketch or a bit disjointed, so it's not like you're just walking someplace, you're getting a taxi, you're getting in the subway, whatever. But Korea, like Seoul and Tokyo as well, is just... it's so walkable, it's so livable, it's safer. It's just nice. I hope to join them next weekend. For tense muscles, you can't stretch, apply pressure with a finger. Oh yeah. Trigger point massage almost. Yo. I thought this was so baller, man. Alright, like, sometimes, and I hope this doesn't come off negatively or, God forbid, racist, but sometimes, like, older Korean women, they just, I don't know, their energy is amazing, okay? Like, this older woman, and she, beautiful, took care of herself, all the good stuff, but she definitely was, like, 50. She's in the seat as we start to descend, 30, 40 minutes away from landing. And she fucking takes out a Theragun. Like, legitimately, if you guys know what that is, it's a massage gun. She takes out a massage gun, like a real massage gun, not like a thing that could maybe be, like, a dildo. No, like something that is uncomfortable to put in your suitcase, okay? And she takes it out of her carry-on, and she just starts freaking massaging, man. And what's up? And as much as I think it would be so annoying to have to lug that thing around, I mean, fucking respect. That must have felt so good at that time. I was so jealous. Yeah. I can always be talking about yawn cramp. Okay, so like a jaw cramp or jaw lock, I have heard of and experienced a couple of times. But he said throat under the chin, and that just seems so different. But maybe he's talking about the same thing. Yeah, because it almost sounds like they're describing lockjaw, but I think lockjaw is something different than a jaw cramp, which still sounds different than what that guy was explaining, but who knows. Yeah, lockjaw's tetanus. Yeah, it's very bad, very bad. Not just a mild inconvenience. So, some adept harassments. I did notice a weird pattern with the adepts, but I was busy talking about the baller woman on the airplane, so don't know why. Again, very similar opener. herO likes going for the stalker, even though, you know, in a lot of other Stargate openers, you wouldn't go for a stalker at all. Still does it. Very fast third nexus. Is this still only one gateway? Yep. Well, its second way's on the way, but still pretty fast. What? Where? Ling got in. Whoops. Well, it's not going to scout anything scary. It is just going to confirm that it is indeed macro. hero's been going into 4 oracles. Can I do it again? Can I do it again? Maybe. Let's watch these two. Finally, the stream's catching up to my baller airplane lady. Ooh, 7 drones. 8s. Ooh. Ooh. Nice. Combination of the adepts and the mineral line causing the drones to pull away, so the oracle swoops in. It's pretty great. Isn't that amazing, though? Just, that's knowing your priorities, you know? Oh, shit. Oh, shit, there was no wall. Now, this ling number is not going to kill enough to be truly catastrophic, but it is really annoying with that many lings in. Alright. That brief excitement over. Moving on to the next stage of this PvZ. So for Solar right now, the trouble is finding exactly what the pacing is going to be. How much is herO really dedicating on this style of play? So, you know, the first game, it was more emphasis on the expansions, less emphasis on the actual attack, and it worked out well enough for Solar, the way that he played it. Next game, it was more emphasis on the attack, and Solar didn't read that, so he wasn't as prepared as he should have been. And that's CVP, right? That's a Zerg player's dilemma, is trying to make sure that they're cutting the right corner at the right time, so that they're not being too greedy, but then they're not falling behind either because they can't do this magical thing called making workers and army at the same time. So, yeah. It makes sense, ZombieGrub. But when it's this really, like, highly paced to fast-paced, there we go, fast-paced style that is also more about a 3 to 4 base situation, I do think that it's really difficult for a Zerg player to tell exactly what to do. When it's like a 2 base versus a 3 base situation, it's become so obvious when someone is being aggressive, right? That very late third nexus is just, what are you doing now? But 3rd to 4th, I mean, I think the signs of the dedication are subtler, basically. So I kind of feel for the Zergs in this case. They do seem to be struggling, you know? Initially, what seemed to be a balance patch that could favor the Zerg. Yes, they were taking their Queen Walk away, but the Protoss also had many things taken away. And this actually turned it into a maybe Protoss favored moment in time. Maybe. I'm not gonna say that officially. It's not my place, but certainly you can see how it is difficult to play Zerg right now. when we see a game like last game happen, or even the first game, which is an incredibly difficult win, even though Solar did eventually get the win. Oh, not enough to one-shot a Ravager. All of them shot, too. So how many? What? Maybe all of them didn't shoot. Because that's a lot of stalkers. How would it not one-shot? Ling's once again bothering this poor stalker. Just wants to guard a door. Come on, man. herO often leaves the door open. I will not contest that. That is probably true. I do, you know, I think it's not hard to think of the very fast players as the ones who often make those seemingly kind of tiny mistakes. I love watching a line of stalkers be the body block for banelings, because it seems so opposite of what you want to do against banelings, right? Pretty much no matter what, well, Archons aside, no matter what you have, you don't usually want to just say, here, banelings, let me tank it. You want to micro against them, you want to move away from them, you want to focus fire them down, you want to get a concave. But stalkers, they also take like 13 banelings to actually kill. So as long as the stalkers are in a line and they're not super grouped up, then yeah, well, stalkers, why not? Four oracles still being pesky too. You can absolutely, we've seen more emphasis on the actual engagement with the stalkers than the oracles, but the oracles, even if they're not doing a lot, they are still making drive-bys basically. Like there's a person outside your house driving by with a gun, but they just don't use the gun. So you still take it seriously. That'd actually be really freaking scary. That would not be a good time. Or maybe it's more equivalent to someone driving by with like a water gun, which might just be more amusing. No, that'd still be kind of weird. Alright, the stalker number is kind of insane. We have 31 stalkers on the field. Could be even more though. There are zealots also warped in, so they're doing things. Currently losing a battle against the roaches. Oh, that's a misclick. 100 freaking %. He might have... I wonder how that happened. It is possible that he made the banelings, then clicked on the minimap. I didn't realize he clicked on the Nexus? Is it actually? No. You'd have to see a building to click on it. You can't do it on the minimap. I don't know how that happened, but it did. Probably not his intention, as the Nexus would not fall to that many banelings. But either way, pushing in here, already the 4th base being killed, is a bad sign for Solar. Even worse is the fact that his supply is not matching herO's. Yes, he's getting to a very fearsome adrenal gland upgrade for these Lings, but it seems like in this particular game, it seems like the wave has already crashed over Solar and he's just kind of rolling around in the sand currently. It's kind of fun, but also extremely dangerous, and you might break your neck. And Zealot run-bys initially were being pushed back very easy. Are now overwhelming. Adding more damage. Adding more distraction. And Solar, I think, has got to be feeling it at this point. Maybe around 150, 160, you still think, like, maybe. But 130 supply, yeah. Knows that it's Dunzo herO. Improving on the first game to make the next 2 games look even easier. I don't know why that went up,